Good morning, everyone. It's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is the 21st, Sunday, the 21st of November. How is everybody? Awesome, that's excellent to hear. All right, so we've got a lot in this video. We've got a finish, we've got haul, we've got one new start, we've got a planned finish, we've got a mild rotation update, we've got Q&A, and at the very end, we've got a giveaway. Ooh. So stick around. There's a lot going on today, a lot to discuss. So yeah. All right, so let's start off with the good old-fashioned Q&A. The first question comes from Stitching at Tiffany's. She says, I absolutely love the idea of new moon, new start, and have a few questions. How do you choose your 10 focus pieces? And how will you choose from the archives should that happen? Will it be gold-based, stitch what you want to stitch when you want to stitch, wheel spin, or something else? I love the idea of a rotation, but they always intimidate me when I sit down to think about it. So, actually, I almost went and redid my actual 10 rotation last night, change up, but then I was looking at going, no, I really actually do want all of these. So, for the moment, I am content with this rotation. We'll see how long that lasts. So, what we've got going on. The way I pick the 10 is I usually go through, especially when it's time, just when I decide, you know what, I'm just going to redo my entire rotation. I go through and I pull the ones that call the most to me. Sometimes I will sort of go, well, you know what, this one's really close. I could probably finish it this month if I pull it. But by and large, these are the things that call to me the most. For the order I work on them, I usually spin my wheel. And I've got a pretty solid rule of thumb that if it comes up on the wheel and I don't want to work on it, I spin again. And I use tiny decisions. I use the paid for so I can weight things, like give a weight to their prominence. So one of the things I'll typically do, especially at the start of the month, if, say, like in this case, I worked on Wicked Siblings right at the end of October, so I didn't want to work on it again, and with my luck, that's how my wheel usually goes, would spin it first thing off the bat. So I dropped its weight down lower so that it would be more likely to be bypassed. So I will do some adjustment to my wheel's weight to try and prevent burnout or fatigue. That's kind of a little what happened to me with Inspiration. It came up too quickly again, and I had just worked on it. I was like, I'm just not feeling this. I love the piece. I'm happy it'll stay in my rotation, but not quite ready to work on it quite as quickly. So that's kind of how I do my regular rotation. If I've got a sal going, I will usually not put the sal on the wheel, because I'll work on it as the new piece drops. So, like Cryptids, which I took this weekend off for, we've got next week off, so I'll work on it next week. I just needed a week off from it, a little earlier. Although I say that, and I may work on it today. Who knows? We'll see. Haven't gotten there yet. Plenty of time still to decide. But then I give everything roughly. I have goals sort of set on each one for the month. I can roughly work on each one for the equivalency of like 3 days. So either 1 weekend day or 3 weeknight evening weeknights. That's generally about how that works out. I hope that made sense. So that's how I do my tin. I put them on a wheel, spin to see what I work on. If it's the start of the month, sometimes I'll change the weights so that I'm not just stitching on something immediately again. And then I work on it either one weekend day or 2 to 3 weeknights, unless, like I said, unless I hit a goal, or I get to a natural good stopping spot. For the archives, what I did was I went through and I looked at all the whips that I have started. A couple of them got UFO'd, and I put them on a wheel. I have 42, which is kind of awesome, not gonna lie. And what my plan is I'll do one of two things to pull from the archives. Either, obviously, I have to have a finish, or the way the new start's working is the new start will go to the archives unless there's something in my rotation that I'm really not feeling, and I'll move it out of the rotation. However, Garrett, what happens if you run into one of those times where you get really frustrated and you kick something out already? Pardon me. Then I'll spin from the... I've got the hiccups. Pardon me. Hang on. Then I'll spin from the archives to replace. So if I finish something or I archive more than one, then I'll pull from the archives. So that's kind of how I'm doing that. That's sort of, at least now, of course, everything is in flux and fluid, and I reserve the right to change at any time. For my new starts, however, I am taking a page from Bendy Stitches, good old Michelle, who, she was inspired by my comment about I try not to buy things just to collect them. I try to buy things with the intent to stitch. So all of my new starts, caveat being anything Oz related is of course exempt from this, all of my new starts are going to come from patterns I already have and I'm in the process of kitting up. And we'll get to that here in a few minutes, because I do have some stuff that I've already kind of weeded through and picked out. Of course, it's always subject to change. So I hope that answered your question, Tiffany. You can always message me if I don't make sense. So... Stacy Katz asks, are you still stitching felt applique projects? I haven't done a felt applique since the very start of the year, basically. I still got it. I may pull that out. I probably should. I do enjoy them. Maybe after Cryptids, that can be my work thing. Those are good work projects, because they're all fairly contained. Things to think about. Chelsea Olish says, I love naming my projects, which are mainly animals. Do you name all your projects or just some? I do generally, if a lot of times I'll nickname something. For instance, Every Day is a Beautiful Day became Chickens. So I do that sometimes. Usually I will try to stick to whatever its actual name is. In the case of my Stitchy Box sampler, that one's known as Lisa Frank Sarah, because I can never remember the actual name. In fact, I think I keep calling it Sarah Cromwell, and it's not even close to what her name is. But I call it Sarah Cromwell, or Lisa Frank, or sometimes Lisa Frank Sarah. So yes, I do that. So I am prone to nickname things. Robin B asks, when you have 16 count Ada, do you stitch over 1? If so, does that make it the same as 32 count? If so, why not just buy a 32 count even weave? I'm not understanding the difference. Is it just a personal preference? Okay, so Ada, you're always stitching over 1. It's really hard to stitch because you have to pierce the blocks. So a lot of times I won't do something that's super fractional heavy because it's harder to split the blocks and make that look nice. So there's a couple of reasons why I will choose to do Ada versus an even weave or a linen. If it's a piece that's going to be a lot more counting heavy, more so than a normal, like for instance, Cryptids, where it's a very precise, you've got this number of spaces, it's easier to count individual Ada blocks than to try and count holes, because you've got your full square. So yes, 16 count is the equivalent of 30 count 2 over 2. So frequently, that's one of the reasons I will use Ada, is to make counting easier. There are also certain patterns that I think look better on Ada. I generally think things like the Frosted Pumpkin, which are already sort of blocky to begin with, I think they look better on an Ada than they do on a linen most of the time, although I've used it on both, and I really like them on both. Whereas something like Soda Stitch, which is more delicate, and it's going to have more, and the back stitch is going to be more likely to split a block, I'm more likely to do that on an even weave. So it's really, all comes down to personal preference, and the look. And it's, in some cases, for some people, Ada is easier to stitch on. I find if I'm going to use a slightly darker fabric, I stand a better chance of counting correctly with Ada. But it's all personal preference. There is no right, there is no wrong. Deborah Dixon asks, can you talk a little bit about your work stitching? Where you stitch, do you keep your scissors at work, or pack your project bag as on the go? Okay, so I actually keep a, so for instance, so here's Cryptids. The floss, I keep a pouch with a pair of scissors in it. Stays with it. If it's a paper pattern, then obviously the pattern will stay in the bag. If it's my iPad, then I just carry the iPad back and forth every day. I leave the project bag at work for the week. And that's kind of how I do it. I stitch, I eat lunch in a coworker's office, or at my desk, depending on if she's out for the day or not. Yeah, and then after I finish, I just pull it out and start stitching, and I usually talk while I'm stitching. So I get, depending on, because I usually go pick up lunch for my coworker, because she'll buy me a soda, and then I have a larger soda for free. So depending on how busy and how long it takes me to get back to the office, and if I've bought food or if I'm just eating what I brought, I usually get between 20 and 45 minutes worth. If she's out and it's just me, like she's on vacation, then I usually get closer to the full hour because I eat fairly fast. A lot of years of retail and only getting 30 minutes, which includes buying said meal and going to the bathroom, conditions you to eat quickly. Trisha at 3L Threads asks, have you started holiday party planning at work yet? No, we are really pretty last minute with our stuff. We'll probably decide like the week before if we're doing a potluck. Partially because a lot of times people will take PTO around then, so we try to aim it for a day when we know everyone's going to be in, and that's a little harder to tell until a little closer to. So we have not yet, but I'm okay with that. All right, so that is the end of the Q&A. So I'm going to show you what I got haul-wise. So some of what I got haul-wise this week was just various fibers needed for stuff. So I'm not going to show you that because it's kind of... I did, however, I got the final things that I was needing for fibers I was needing for Oz, the Satsuma Street Oz. So that came in from Fire Poppies, as did Heartstring Sampleries, Christmas Bells Sampler. And this one's I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. Originally, it was Carol of the Bells, but unfortunately, she couldn't get the license for Carol of the Bells, so it became I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. Yes. So that came in. Then I had to run down to Stitch Niche. I wanted to pay part of my framing cost for Woodland Fairy and to pick up the ornament for this year, because they do a special ornament every year. And this year it's being finished as a berry. And that's kind of the pattern for it. And it comes with, because it's a kit, comes with the different fibers needed. It comes with the finishing materials and the fabric. So I have purchased every year that they've done an ornament. I have purchased it, and I have not stitched it, but that's okay, because one day I will. Maybe. I picked up, they had a silk grab bag for $5 that came with 5 skeins of Splendor from Rainbow Gallery. So this is I think it's a 12-ply silk. Yeah, 12-ply silk. So, and some flesh tones too, so that's kind of awesome. I picked up, one of the owners of the shop has a 3D printer, and so they've started 3D printing all sorts of really cool things, one of which is thread keeps. So I've got a blue Pusheen that's got the stitch niche. It's got magnets for holding your needle. And this one has 31 little holes for floss, which will be perfect for the Jeanette Douglas that I've got planned as one of my new starts for next year. And then last but surely not least, I got the 2, so there's still one left, but it hasn't released yet. So I got the two remaining Tiny Modernist Fairy Tales. Little Mermaid. And Peter Pan. So I do still plan, when I do this one, to do it as a fairy tale theater conversion. It just means I will need to figure out something to replace Peter Pan with, because Peter Pan was not done by Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. So I may try to do Princess and the Pea, because that one's my favorite. Largely because of Liza. Alright, so that's what I got in the way of haul that is interesting to look at haul. Let's see. I then also got, I actually thought didn't realize that I hadn't brought it with me already. One more inherited piece from my grandmother. It's a needlepoint lion that she did the year I was born. So back in 86. Nanny really liked lions. So. All right. So, let's talk about what I worked on. It's probably the best place to start. Well, actually, I guess I'll say I rotated, well, no. First, I'll show the finish. I think it's in this bag. It is. Just trying to figure out what to do with the glossy things. So, I had a finish on Every Day is a Beautiful Day. So here it is in all its chickeny glory. I had to adapt a little. The main reason I decided to cut this here was because I realized it would go really well with the one that's there on the wall, without all the stuff on the side. So it's kind of a companion-y style piece. So here it is. I did essentially have to take out the middle row of the sun so that this would line up properly. But there we go. So we have a finish, which meant that I got to dive into the archives, and out came Sarah had this. It's the Stitchy Box. It is officially titled I think I pulled it up recently and looked at it again. Sarah Davis Clonmell, 1824. So that's its official title. That's the pattern itself. I, however, refer to it as Sarah Cromwell. It's the Lisa Frank one. So this is because I didn't want to do a reproduction sampler because I thought they were boring colors, and Liz said, well, why don't you just do it in whatever colors you want to do it in? And I said, that's genius! So here we go. Here's where I'm at. I'm doing it in, so far, in all color and cotton, all in kind of psychedelic-y, wacky colors. We've got a little metallic, we've got some lime green. I need to add some yellow still. That may be the next row that I do, may get the yellow treatment. So I'm probably about a quarter of the way through it. So, yeah. So that one came back out. That was what the wheel spun. I did go ahead and temporarily put the Owl Forest Alice into the archives. It was such a struggle, and I kind of burned myself out working on it. So it went down to the archives, and then I had a new start because I felt a need for a new start. So here it is. This is Maple Lane from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I'm doing this on Baroque by Picture This Plus. So here's where I got to on it. Oh, kind of like Jack's Halloween Dream, their parts are way more dense than I feel like a part should be. So I'm not going to be as worried about trying to get it done as it comes out. But here it is. I did make a few minor changes. I did not have the variegated red, purpley red that it called for, but I had cranberry from Gas, which was very, very close. I changed the barista to be me, so I modified the hairstyle a little. And then instead of saying coffee and tea, back, some of you may know this, some of you may not. When I was still working at Starbucks, my dream was to own a coffee shop. I was going to call it Watsits. So, there we go. So I called it Watsits. I made the executive decision with the Frosted Pumpkin City, towns, Pumpkinville, all those sorts of things. I'm going to try and convert the people as often as I can to friends of mine. If it's a spot where I feel like they would ordinarily sort of be. So... no idea where you came from. Okay, yeah. So yeah. Boop. What else did I work on? Okay, well, we've got good old Cryptids here. When last I left you, I think... the Yeti had not come out, so here's the Yeti. And I got started on the next one Friday at lunch, but then I was like, I kind of need a break from Cryptids. So... and this is on Victoria from Deerfoot Fibers. Also on Deerfoot Fibers, and I was talking to Imogen this week, I've decided, since I got Nessie so out of place, and 3 makes for a good balance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it just these 3 for the Quirky Quakers, and then to sort of, because they're basically in alignment up here, it's just not down here, is I'm going to do a small little, like, zigzaggy, little small mini border. So that it sort of looks like, for lack of a better description, like if this were a book, this is like a drop cap. First letter, and then it goes from there. Although looking at it here, it doesn't look that out of alignment. You know what, I may, now that I'm seeing it like that, that's really not so bad. I may, well, we'll see. Maybe I am done with this. I may just need to put it up somewhere and kind of walk past it for a while and see what happens. Okay. We'll see. We'll put you up there with the other finish. Which also means I need to pull these out, so we'll do that while I'm kind of talking. I think that stays in there. Put you in there. Oh, I didn't realize I had so much stuff. Okay. Okay. Doot. Okay. So, this will go back to work with me tomorrow, and we will finish up the next part of Cryptids. All right, what else do we have down here? Oh, last week on Sunday, I spun book club. So I pulled out Pride and Prejudice, and I finished up this part here. So what I am kind of doing, she split it into 3 parts. I'm doing it as 4 parts. So to me, this is parts 1 and 2 finished. Part 3 will be this center part, and then part 4 will be the remaining border. So, this is by Stitching Book Club, so it's Kristen Ashley for Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. I'm doing it on Heaven's Fury from Under the Sea Fabrics, and I did a Gentle Arts conversion for all of the DMC. And oh, that's a little one. And here's what the pattern looks like in full. So that I'm going to call part 3, so the plates and probably the title, and then part 4 will be the rest of the border and like the swans and the little filigree. So geese. I did not mean to do that. Oh. All right. Inspiration did pop up on the wheel, so I did do a little work on inspiration. This is from Rosewood Manor. But like I said, I just really, after doing 2 pages, starting on the 3rd, I just was not wild at it. So that's page 3 there. So I started on the urn baskety thing, but I got all the back stitching done. So when it's time to work on that again, I'll actually get a page finish. This is a long video. All right, then what's in here? I did work on Haunted House, and I basically got the top half done. So this is the Bent Creek sampler. It's on a one-off from Fortnite Fabrics. So that's the top part there. So next time I work on it, my plan will be to finish out the house for sure, and maybe also do that first room. So here's kind of where that is. So we're right there basically. While I'm thinking about it, I ordered a fuzzy stuff from Rainbow Gallery for part of that. Okay, and then I worked yesterday. I got I have parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Oz now done. So here it is in full. So I've got all the rainbows. The things that were changed or added, because I was waiting on them, was the Whisper to do Dorothy and Lion's hair back stitch. So that is those there. Since this is saturating pretty good. There we go. It's much more true to form. So I just have the last part to do. Part of me is tempted to just go ahead and do that today, see if I can go ahead and finish this. Part of me wants to spin the wheel, work on something different. So we'll kind of see how I'm feeling, but I think I am going to just go ahead and finish this today. Just be done with it. No more. So, actually, yeah, that's the logical thing, is let's just finish Oz on out. So, All right. So, as I said, there's a giveaway. All right. So, I'll do this fairly succinctly, or at least as succinctly as I ever do anything. The wonderful people at Fire Poppies, Susan and Oliver, they have a new thing called a mystery grab bag. There are 2 different sizes. They have one that's valued at $55 and one that's valued at $25. And let me be a little more specific to this. I should have had this part ready, and I am so sorry that I didn't. Okay, so the grab bag number 1, the bigger one, is $30, retails for $30, but the items inside will have a retail value of at least $55. Grab bag 2 is $15 and will have a retail value of at least $25. Each bag will contain charts and charts or kits, floss of varying types, beads, buttons. Some will have needle minders, and even more. So they very, very kindly to my viewers offered a grab bag number 1, so the $30 one, so the big one, for me to give away. Full disclosure, I did receive a credit for merchandise in the shop for it. So I did get a little something. But knowing Oliver and Susan, these grab bags are going to be fantastic. I'm planning to order at least one myself, because I'm sure I'll get some Christmas money. So they are giving one away. So how I'm going to do this is, because you all know how well I like questions, if you would like to be entered, drop a question below for me. I will pick a winner at the end of next week's video. So you'll want to have your questions in, or not next week, but by the next video. So you'll want to have your questions in to me by, I think it's December 5th. Let me double check that. December 5th, that's the first Sunday in December, so December 5th, 2021. I would try to have them in by 9 a.m. Central Time, because I don't usually start recording until closer to 10. So have it in by 9 a.m. That way I can, what I'll do is when I'll go through, I will respond to your question with a number, and then we will draw the number. And well, that's how we'll do it. And then if you win, I'll have you reach out to me. I will pass your information along to Fire Poppies, and they will ship it to you themselves. So, anyhow, if you want to be entered, drop me a question below. And I'll see y'all next time.